community-oriented policing apparatus nationwide, community stalking, and many refer to as gang stalking because it's gangs of people, citizens, private entities, private stakeholders, officials, and law enforcement collectively in this holistic approach to policing, meaning everyone does their part. I'm going to answer the questions that many people across this nation, globally, are grappling to try to answer. They want answers. I have the answers. I don't have the answers for everything, but I know somebody that does. But as it pertains to being a targeted individual, I'm going to give you the breakdown. And with this breakdown, it should empower you, the victim, and the victim's support mechanism, those that haven't marginalized and dismissed an individual as suffering from some type of psychosis. 8 million Americans annually are slated for destruction by this program. Now, the wording may be different. I find it hard to believe that the intentions are any different than what I just explained. And this, my friends, is the example of what the deep state has been and continues to do here in America. Now, this is what I call a Neo-Panopticon, or Neo-PanopticBeast. The Neo-PanopticBeast, this beast system, does have a chain of command. And I'm going to give you the breakdown of this chain of command. That way you can zero in and you know where to address and who to address your grievances, and I know that there are many. You see, the Constitution wasn't changed. That'd be too complicated, and we have the amendments to the Constitution, and that has remained intact. But what the Neo-PanopticBeast has done is it is a workaround. And then when an individual is targeted, they're tried in our judicial process, but for some reason, it seems that the deck is stacked. Ladies and gentlemen, the deck is stacked. From the outside looking in, it looks like all the T's have been crossed and the I's have been dotted. The only way this could be possible is for a team to all work together collectively for a safer homeland. That's the mindset. You see, this see something, say something is actually don't ask, don't tell. Because if you ask or if you tell, you're treading on thin ice. Then you risk, if you're not targeted, then you risk being targeted and having everything that you ever loved, had, or dreamed about destroyed right before your very eyes. Of course, this is all elements of Satan himself. So I'm going to give you the breakdown of how this deal works. We're going to start at the top. The chain of command, top tier, U.S. Department of Justice. The Department of Justice, National Policy for Community-Oriented Policing and Crime Prevention Grants with Department of Justice are two key offices. Office of Justice Programs, OJP, manages, researches, training, and funding streams. Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS, issues local grants and guidance. Recently, we've pulled up these grants, and it's mind-boggling. And this is all about following the money. So bear with me here. Now, there's 90 federal districts in the United States. So if you want to know who is in charge of the deal that affects you in your area, It's whatever that federal district is in your area. Who's the shot caller in that area? The U.S. Attorney. Okay. Now, the U.S. Attorney in each district has assistant U.S. attorneys that operate under them. The U.S. Attorney, they all answer to the United States Attorney General, which is Pam Bondi. And here's how this Ponzi scheme works. That's the top tier. Then you have that's the top tier of the food chain, and bring it all around. The middle tier is the state and fusion center level. For instance, in Mississippi, in Alabama, Kentucky, California, Florida, New York, Tennessee, fill in the blanks. Office of Homeland Security, the AIC Fusion Center connects federal systems to state and local police networks. It collects, distributes intelligence, coordinates training, and channels certain DHS funds. Now, the Fusion Center and the state office for the Department of Homeland Security, they're not the same thing. So when you do a FOIA, you're going to be FOIA. Those instructions have been made clear, and that's who you would FOIA on this stuff. They all come out of there. Now, this level, listen up close, often partners with private technology vendors, Flock, Motorola Solutions, Axon, etc. that provide license plate readers, data, analytics, and cloud platforms. Your local tier is the sheriff and municipal departments for your fire department. County sheriff and city police departments apply for COPS and PSN grants. This is what we're going to start reporting, is the misuse of this grant money. And how many felonies we don't know that people are have on their notches on their belt. Now, they perform task forces or coalitions that include probation officers, school resources officers, and sometimes local civic groups. All know this is part of the deal. Data flows upward through the Fusion Center network. Directives and community engagement messaging flow downward. Now, how does this holistic model work? Federal funding, local implementation. The Department of Justice funds are awarded for crime reduction and community engagement. Metrics are based on arrest, contacts, and community reporting participation. They don't keep getting paid. They've got to keep stalking and keep participating in the nonsense. Private vendors install or manage cameras, smart lights, sensors, and analytics dashboards. These systems automatically share data with law enforcement. Databases managed by state or fusion centers. The third step is behavioral influence layer. That's the public messaging campaigns. See something, say something. Encourage residents to report activity. None of this has to be verified. They can report anything. And 9 times out of 10, turkey, lurkey, henny penny, the sky's falling. It's a bunch of BS. And this is where millions of Americans are having their Fourth Amendment rights abjectly violated, because now you are being punished for crimes that you've been accused of, or for crimes that you have yet to commit, that they think is yet to commit. This is the thought policing, if you will. This includes apps and online portals that feed those reports into local intelligence systems. Training programs condition participants to view constant observation as civic duty. the fourth step is the information flow. Upward, local incidents. 2, the county and state database. 2, the fusion center. 2, federal partners. And then downward, alerts, BOLAs, be on the lookouts, task force objectives, and community threat briefings. Number 3, key oversight responsibility. And it level who's accountable for what they control. So you have the DOJ, cops, and the OJP, Assistant Attorney General, Cops Director, funding guidelines, audits, compliance, U.S. Attorney. This is in Mississippi, the northern and southern Mississippi. It's 2 districts. The district's chief federal law enforcement officer, local PSN strategy, Project Safe Neighborhood, intra-agency meetings. State Homeland Security, Fusion Center Director, under DPS, data integration, intelligence, and dissemination. Local sheriffs and chiefs, elected or appointed officials, day-to-day enforcement, surveillance usage, city, county boards, grant sign-offs, budget, and policy adoption. Each layer signs certifications stating that they understand and supervise the program under them. That's what makes them legally responsible once records confirm awareness. So this Neo-PanopticBeast, let's make it real clear, folks. I'm not going to spend 6 months on what tactics they're using. I'm simply giving you the structure of how it works. The structure and as where it meets the boots meet the ground. This is where it's coming from. Now, mind you, that there is the part of your private, your local, your stakeholders, like we just mentioned, Flock and all these people, Lockheed Martin, all these people are getting in on the action. That's why these people, ladies and gentlemen, feel emboldened to commit crimes and to do whatever they want to do to another human being because of this protection racket. All of these initiatives, COPS, Project Safe Neighborhoods, Fusion Centers, Intelligence Sharing, and the Community Policing Grant Network exist under the U.S. Department of Justice. Inside DOJ, the line of authority runs. Number 1, Attorney General of the United States is the nation's top law enforcement officer. This office approves every national policy and budget connected to community policing and intelligence coordination. Under that is the Deputy Attorney General and the Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Justice Programs, OJP. They manage the money, the oversight rules, and all program audits. We're going to be talking to these people, and I hope a whole bunch of others are going to be doing the same. We've got some work cut out for us, folks, but I'm going to tell you, it's now time to roll your sleeves up. Then from that, you have the Director of COPS Office. Implements the grants that fund local, community-oriented policing. Then U.S. attorneys in each federal district, there's 90 of them, chair and supervise Project Safe Neighborhoods, PSN, task force, and their districts coordinate with state and local agencies and report results back to Washington. In my district, it's Clay Joyner. He's the acting U.S. attorney until the permanent one is in there. And that name may be familiar with you if you notice on the news just a few days ago that 14 cops and 2 sheriffs were indicted. Federal indictments for drugs and all this kind of stuff. And he was doing the press conference. I said when that happened, I said that's what we need to see this corruption taken care of. I also said, my, what are they distracting us from? Because what they're distracting us from falls on the very person that was over the press conference. And then the next step is state homeland security offices and fusion centers. And they receive information, training, and partial funding through the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, but remain under the DOJ umbrella for law enforcement purposes. Yeah, I don't want to come back and say, well, what about the FBI, InfraGard, Homeland Security, Citizens Corps? All of that falls under this pyramid that I'm giving you. Then the next step, of course, local sheriffs and police chiefs, and they carry out the operations on the ground using federal grants and state partnerships. The State Department of Public Safety, and that's their state partnerships, and then their partnerships, of course, with the private stakeholders. I've said this once, if I've said it once, I've said it 10,000 times. People are saying, well, who, what, how, when? Local chief and sheriff. That's who, but that's it. Of course, when you make reports, of course you're going to be gaslighted. Every piece of this apparatus ultimately answers to the U.S. Attorney General, the head of the Department of Justice. The local sheriffs may act it out, but the money, the guidance, and the final responsibility all flow back to one desk in Washington, D.C. The grant applications, progress reports like specific program managers and local agencies, memoranda of understanding show which agencies share data and when, and procurement records reveal which private vendors installed surveillance tech. Those documents tie leadership knowledge directly to the on-the-ground behavior of local task force. And this is why it's important for you to start doing your Freedom of Information Act request. Folks, it's not a rumor. We know that. This is not mass psychosis. It's structure. The Neo-PanopticBeast has a head, a body, and a heartbeat, and it's fed by our own tax dollars. We're going to expose the names, the contracts, and the policies that make this beast move. The scriptures were very clear about the beast system. I hope that I've been as clear as it can be made clear. This is the structure. When you're trying to talk about around this and put it into some type of other structure, you simply are running down a rabbit hole that was intended for you to run down. Of course, it's evil. Of course, its foundation is built on faulty and flawed principles, and of course, it won't stand, not as it is today. Of course, in this holistic approach, everyone doing their part, there are going to be elements of every diabolical organization and person known to man involved in it, thus always creating an era or aura of chaos and confusion. There's hundreds and hundreds of groups of those that have been targeted or claimed to have been targeted. And it seems that each one of them has their own special little agenda to talk about what is being done to them and how they're doing it. I think it's high time that we put aside whatever disagreements that we may have, and that we, as citizens of this country, for one time, those that are targeted for one time, can lay aside their personal bias, the things that have been told, well, this person's this and this person's that, this group's got this, these perps in it and all that. Of course, they're going to be there. But you know what you are, I know what I am. And for those that they're leading these flocks, it's your job to take your part in making the Neo-PanopticBeast understand we've had enough. And the only way we can do this is we can't be chasing our tails in 10,000 different directions. Collectively, we're a force to be reckoned with. As long as we're scattered, as long as we're divided, as long as we're holding grudges against those that should be on the same team, we're doing exactly what Satan himself wants us to do, and that's division. One group against another group, one race against another great race, and so forth and so on. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to finish this up. I've stayed neck deep, it seems, in research and collecting data, evidence, and processing it. And I understand the dynamic of this program. Now, I don't understand why. I don't see the individuals and all these things. I could give you 100 reasons why they believe what they're doing, and their side of the story is going to be totally different. There's always two sides to every story. But you can rest assured that their side of the story will always be flawed and fraudulent and a blatant lie. Because these stakeholders, they have invested hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in a program that's already had over 200 billion pumped into it of tax dollars. And that's a very conservative figure. It's in excess of 200 billion since 1994. Makes one wonder. We see all the waste, the government shut down because we don't want to. The Republicans said, we're not going to spend $50 million for circumcisions in Zambia. That's it. That was in the deal, folks. That's what the Democrats walked out for. Shit like that. Well, I can tell you, folks, they ain't nothing compared to what has been pumped in to this program with our money to destroy those that are nonconformists, those that dare to speak out, those that dare to be independent, those that dare to assert their God-given rights, and that is equal access, equal justice of the Constitution of the United States of America. It hadn't just been chilled, it's been blocked and denied on every step and every level. At the end of the day, the buck stops in the United States Attorney General's office, Pam Bondi. Now, you'll have to write her a long letter explaining to her. You might want to explain what it's done to you and what they've done, but she didn't need to go to school to understand all the aspects of this program. I can tell you, when the money dries up and when that tap is cut off, people will find something else to do. If the money wasn't in it, it'd be over with. We followed the money. We follow the money. I welcome your comments down there below. My contact information is in the description of this video. The ways you can support USAGSA are in my link tree in the description of this video. You can take a stand by becoming a patron on Patreon, a paid patron on Patreon, or even a paid subscriber on my Substack, where I've written extensively about these programs and their tactics. And I've got some really good stuff coming out. I've given you the breakdown, folks. After this, if you watch this whole thing, you can't say, well, I don't quite understand it. Let's run this back because I've given it to you. Those levels in there. Okay? That's your pyramid. That's the food chain. From you as the victim to the head of this Neo-Panoptic beast. Until next time, God bless you. They call me a